She walked in quietly, dressed in plain jeans and a simple cardigan. Nothing flashy, no designer labels, no makeup. Just a soft smile and the kind of calm confidence you don't see often. To anyone watching, she looked like a regular woman, maybe even someone who couldn't afford to be in a place like this. The luxury spa was the kind of spot where guests arrived in sleek cars and wore sunglasses indoors, and she definitely didn't fit their picture of important. It didn't take long before a staff member approached her, whispering to a colleague and glancing her way. Within minutes, she was told, politely at first, that this place was for members only, not somewhere she could just walk into. She tried to explain, gently, that she wasn't lost. But they cut her off, said she'd have to leave. Guests stared. A few even chuckled under their breath. And just like that, she was being ushered toward the door, treated like someone who didn't belong. What they didn't know, she wasn't just another face. She wasn't lost. She was *home*, and her husband, the man arriving just moments later in a black car with tinted windows, wasn't just her plus one. He was a billionaire, and together, they weren't there as visitors. They *owned the entire spa. What happened next changed everything, for the staff, the guests, and for her. But before that moment of truth came, she stood there, humiliated and quiet, with everyone assuming she was nobody. That's when her husband stepped in, and with just a few words, the truth unraveled fast. The man stepped out of the car wearing a tailored suit, but his eyes went straight to her. No bodyguards, no loud entrance, just quiet focus. He walked past the valet, past the marble fountain, and directly toward the commotion by the spa entrance. The staff, still blocking her way, didn't recognize him at first. He looked familiar, but they were too caught up in appearances to connect the dots. One of the managers started to approach him, clearly annoyed by the distraction, ready to remind him that this area was for members only too. But the woman didn't say a word. She didn't point him out or call for help. She just stood there, watching the people around her treat her like she was invisible. That's the part that stung the most. Not being asked to leave, but the way no one even tried to hear her out. No one thought to ask her name. No one thought she could be someone who mattered. What the spa workers didn't realize was that she and her husband had bought the property almost a year ago. The purchase had been quiet, under a private company name. They believed in staying low-key, letting the staff run the place without pressure. It was part of her vision. She wanted to create a space where people felt welcome, no matter how they looked or dressed. But today, that vision felt far away. The very people she trusted to carry it out were now pushing her out of her own dream. And as her husband reached her side, the staff finally began to look uneasy. Some were whispering, others fidgeting with their uniforms. They knew something was off. He glanced at her, then at them, and then finally he spoke, but not yet the words they expected. He looked around slowly, his expression unreadable, and then turned to the manager standing stiffly nearby. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, his voice calm but sharp enough to cut through the thick silence. The manager hesitated, unsure of how to answer. A few staff members had already begun recognizing him. Whispers rippled through the lobby. Phones were quietly pulled out. Some guests were now staring openly, realizing this wasn't just a misunderstanding. Still, the manager tried to hold his ground. "Sir, this guest wasn't on our list. We have strict policies to protect our exclusive clientele." The woman stood quietly beside her husband, letting him speak. Not because she couldn't, but because she wanted to see how far they'd go to cover their mistake. Her silence was no longer out of shock, it was now deliberate. In the back office, one of the junior staff had already started searching the system, trying to confirm who she was. Her name didn't appear in the guest log, of course. That was because she was registered under the executive owner profile, a category the front desk didn't even have full access to. And yet, no one had thought to ask more questions. They only saw what they wanted to see, a woman in simple clothes who clearly didn't belong. One of the younger receptionists, clearly nervous, finally whispered to her colleague, "I think that's Amelia Langston, the owner." The name made the other woman freeze. Amelia Langston wasn't just wealthy. She was known for building wellness retreats that focused on inclusivity and comfort, not just money and luxury. But none of that mattered a few minutes ago. They had already made their assumptions, and now those assumptions were unraveling fast. Still, neither Amelia nor her husband had revealed the full truth. Not yet. The air in the spa lobby had shifted. What was once casual chatter and soft background music now felt thick with unease. The manager's confident tone had faded, and the staff who had so firmly asked Amelia to leave were now avoiding eye contact. Some of the guests, sensing something big was happening, began filming discreetly. Phones were tilted low, cameras rolling just in case something viral unfolded. No one wanted to miss what was coming next. Amelia still hadn't said much. Her husband stood beside her like a quiet shield, his presence alone enough to make the room feel smaller. He stepped forward again, pulling out his phone and opening something on the screen. The manager leaned in slightly, curiosity overtaking pride. Then his face paled. It was a document, a legal one. At the top, the name of the spa. At the bottom, a signature, Amelia Langston, majority owner. But he didn't say a word yet. He just held the phone where it could be seen, then slowly slid it back into his pocket. Still, no grand reveal, no outburst, just heavy silence. In a private room nearby, the junior employee who'd confirmed Amelia's identity was quietly trying to reach her supervisor, panic rising in her voice. "We messed up," she whispered. "Like, badly." The spa, known for its exclusivity, luxury treatments, and flawless customer service, now found itself on the edge of a scandal, not just for mistaking someone for an outsider, but for treating their own owner like she was beneath the space she had built from nothing. And yet, Amelia still hadn't spoken. That was the part that unsettled everyone the most. She wasn't angry. She wasn't raising her voice. She was just waiting. And that quiet was louder than anything they had heard all day. Just when it seemed the dust had settled, a quiet rumor began circulating among the staff. It started with a single question from the finance department. Why hadn't the Bali retreat funds been released yet? The bonus Amelia had promised had gone out to a few team members, but something strange was happening behind the scenes. Some staff had received full details, others nothing at all. The young receptionist, now promoted, overheard a tense phone call in the back office, two executives arguing about account access and missing documents. Whispers turned to worry. Had something gone wrong with the transfer? Had the ownership changed? That's when an anonymous email landed in the spa's shared inbox. It was short, but loaded with impact. The subject line read, "She's not the only one with keys to the building." Attached was a screenshot, an internal document showing a second name on the ownership papers. One no one expected, a silent partner. Amelia's husband. And beneath that, a string of transfers and company names pointing to shell corporations, suggesting someone had been moving money, quietly, slowly, and possibly without Amelia's knowledge. The very man who stood by her side, calm and supportive, might have been hiding something deeper. It raised questions. Had he used her vision for his own plans? Was the spa just a cover for something else? And why now? Why would this come to light only after Amelia made that powerful stand? As the receptionist stared at the email, her hands shaking slightly, she realized this story wasn't over. The kindness, the lessons, it had all been real. But there was another truth buried beneath the surface. And Amelia, she had no idea. Yet. Because sometimes the biggest betrayal doesn't come from strangers at the front door, but from someone already holding the keys. Amelia finally took a small step forward. Her eyes calmly scanned the room. Every staff member who had dismissed her, every guest who had stared. Her voice, when she spoke, was soft but steady. "This place was meant to be different," she said. "It was built for people to feel safe, not judged. Welcomed, not measured by their clothes or status. The manager's mouth opened, but no words came. Her husband stayed silent beside her, watching as the staff tried to piece together how they had let this happen. Amelia turned to the young receptionist, the only one who had whispered her name in recognition. "You," she said gently. "Thank you for trusting your instinct." Then she looked back at the others. "The rest of you. His wasn't just a mistake, it was a failure of character." A few heads dropped. One of the senior employees began apologizing, stumbling over excuses. But Amelia raised a hand. "Don't explain. Just listen." Then came the twist. She walked over to the front desk, reached behind the counter, and pulled out a small envelope she had left earlier that morning, before she changed into her casual clothes. Inside this, she said, was a staff bonus announcement. Everyone was supposed to receive a personal letter of thanks and a paid retreat to our newest spa in Bali. Gasps rippled through the room. Eyes widened. Some glanced at each other in disbelief. Amelia let the silence sit for a moment before saying, "That offer still stands, for those who treated others with basic kindness." She handed the envelope to the young receptionist. Then, without raising her voice or making a scene, Amelia turned and walked out with her husband. The message was clear. You never know who someone is until it's too late. In the days that followed, the spa was quieter than usual. Guests still came in for their luxury treatments, but something had shifted behind the front desk. Staff moved more carefully, spoke more thoughtfully, and paid attention in ways they hadn't before. Amelia's visit had left a mark, not just as a reminder of who she was, but of what the spa was meant to be. The young receptionist who had recognized her received more than just the envelope. A handwritten note from Amelia arrived the next morning, thanking her for staying kind in a moment when it mattered most. She had also been offered a promotion, one that came with a leadership training opportunity at the Bali retreat. As for the manager, his position was quietly reevaluated, not out of punishment, but because Amelia believed in accountability. A private meeting was held where she gave him a choice: continue with the company under new training and guidance, or step away with dignity. He chose to stay and learn, humbled by the experience. The incident spread across social media, not as a scandal, but as a story of grace and quiet power. People admired how Amelia handled it, with dignity, patience, and firm conviction. Comments poured in praising her for staying calm, for not embarrassing anyone publicly, and for showing that real luxury isn't in marble floors or fancy robes, but in how people are treated. Amelia never spoke to the media about it. She didn't need to. Her message had already been heard. And the next time she visited the spa, dressed the same, still simple, she was greeted not with suspicion, but with warm smiles and open doors. Because respect, like ownership, doesn't always come with a label. Sometimes it walks in quietly and waits to be seen.